All right, before we start doing the actual configuration on the device, let me give you some little overview on how we're going to build this VPN uh, and just give you some idea of the flow. Whenever we build a VPN, we define the pair IP address on both ends. So both ends need to know what the pair they are going to build the VPN with, and they should have the reachability like a ping, or they should be able to reach to its pair. So over here you can see ASA has its pair IP as 197.168.10.10, and its local IP is, which is this one, 168.2 188.84.131.2. So then similarly, actually we are going to build this VPN tunnel on this firewall. So all the VPN configuration we're gonna do on this firewall, and this firewall has its pair IP address as per the local IP address of this ASA, which is, you can see here. So for this firewall, the peer IP is 188.84.131.2, whereas the local IP address for this firewall is 172.168.12.2. But if you look at the pair, the ASA sees the pair as 197.168.10.10. So what's going to happen when this firewall is going to try a build a VPN with, it's going to send a request from the source, which is going to be its local IP to to this firewall, and this firewall is actually going to do a source net onto uh, this global IP, which is 197.168.10.10, and ASA is going to receive this request for the initial packet for the ASP and the port 500 to start negotiation of the VPN as 197.168.10.10. So once the ASA sends the packet back to this, the reply against this the initial packet, and respond with its packet or cookies, then uh, ASA is going to send the request back to the source IP as a destination of this IP. And once this firewall receives, it's going to translate back this IP into the source IP, which is the local IP of the internal firewall. So this is how it's gonna this traffic flow is gonna flow. Uh, so we're going to configure this NAT on our edge firewall, and let's start first doing the configuration of the VPN on SRX. To do the configuration, we need to do follow few steps. Like first of all, we need to create the IPsec proposal on SRX. So IPsec proposal, IPsec proposal, and then we're gonna create the IPsec against IPsec proposal. We're gonna create the IPsec policy, and then we're gonna assign that policy to the gateway. So these three steps going to complete our uh, phase one. Gateway. So this is going to complete our phase one, and then we're gonna create the phase two. In phase two, again, we're gonna create the proposal, IPsec2 proposal, and then we're gonna create the policy, and then we're gonna apply this policy to our VPN. So again, 3 steps. So let's do this configuration. Let me get rid of this. Right, so this is our core SRX, and to start the configuration, we need to move into configure mode. And then the first thing we're going to create, as I said, we're going to create the IPsec proposal. For that, the command we're going to use is set security IC and the proposal. We're going to give a name to this proposal. So let's say the name is ASA IC proposal, right? And then question mark. So for this proposal, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna decide what authentication method we're gonna use. So here you can see authentication method. So we're gonna use the pre-shared. So authentication method is going to be pre-shared key, right? So then the next thing we're gonna do is define the Defi helping group. So for that, again, we can do command set, either set, or we can do up arrow and get rid of authentication. And where we define the name, from there we can actually use Defi Hellman group, and we're going to use the group 20. Then next thing we're going to do is we're going to do authentication algorithm. We're going to use SHA. Let's see what are available. So we're going to use SHA 256. Another thing we're going to configure is encryption. And encryption algorithm, we're going to use AES 256. And finally, we're going to define the lifetime in A6 8600. Right. Okay. So this is done. So this is we have defined the proposal first, phase one. To see, we can show pipe compare. Right. So you can see here in edit security, IC and proposal, and we name the proposal as ASA IC proposal. Then in proposal, we are saying we're going to use pre-shared key. Defi Hellman for the key exchange, we're going to use group 20. Authentication type algorithm, we're going to use SHA. And the encryption for integrity, we're going to use 256 AES. And the lifetime of this tunnel is going to be 24 hour. Right. So the proposal is created. Now we're going to use the policy. And in policy, we're going to use the proposal that we have created. So for that, we're going to start set security policy. Sorry, IC policy. IC policy. And then we're going to give the name to this policy. So we can use the same name from the proposal and just change is policy. So policy, we do question mark. The first thing in the policy, we're going to use mode. So which mode are we going to define for this phase one? We're going to use mode main. And again, you can use up arrow to bring that command, and then get rid of this mode and main mode. And then next thing we're going to use, we're going to tell the what proposal we're going to use for this policy. So proposal that we have just created, proposal, and the proposal we're going to give, proposal set. Yeah, proposal set that we have just created over here. So this is the proposal set that we have created, right? So if you even press question mark, you will be able to see, oh, sorry, not proposal set. So we're going to use proposal, then proposals. Then if you do proposals, we're going to use the same proposal that we have created here, this one. Even if you press question mark, you can see that proposal you have created is available in the list. So you can press A and press tab, it will auto-complete the proposal. We're going to use this, press enter, then press up again. We need this command again, or rather than typing, we can reuse this command. And then we're going to tell, press key, we're going to tell the appreciate key. So what is the appreciate key? Appreciate key is into ASCII task, and we're going to use Cisco 123. Right. So with this, our policy is complete. Again, show pipe compare. All right, you can see now under the IKE phase one, we have created a proposal. In proposal, we're gonna use, we define that we're gonna use appreciate key and key exchange. We're gonna use defilement and then authentication, encryption, and lifetime. So this proposal need to be matched on ASA side for phase one. This is very important. If it doesn't match, the VPN is not going to come up. And then we created a policy. And in policy, we defined that we're going to use main mode. And then proposal that we're going to use in this policy is the proposal that we have defined right here. And then we define the appreciate key that we're going to use. Now, the third thing step is that we're going to create here the gateway. The gateway where we're going to define the gateway IP address, the peer IP address. So for that, we can use same command. We can start with, almost we're going to start with same set security, right? Set, you can see here, this is the hierarchy security. So I'm going to change, either you can do edit or set security, and then next is IKE. You can say IKE, and then we have defined proposal policy. The third thing I've told you what we're gonna define. We're gonna define a gateway. So even if you press question mark here, you can see. So we have defined the policy, we have defined the proposal, and third is we're gonna define the gateway. So right here we're gonna define. It wants you to give the name of the gateway. So if I say gateway ASA VPN gateway, right? So this is the, we're going to define the security IKE gateway ASA VPN gateway, and then for this gateway, the policy that which policy we're gonna use for this gateway. So we have already defined that policy up here, right? This policy. So this policy we're going to use for this gateway, which actually uses the proposal that we have defined right here. So we need to remember this hierarchy and the steps wise. This is how we're gonna create this VPN config, and don't get confused. Okay, so the gateway, we're gonna use the policy. If you press question mark right here, so this is IKE policy. We're gonna have the name of the IKE policy. We can define, and if you press question mark, so that's the only policy that we have defined right here. This one. Cool. So let's select this one, IKE policy, press enter, and then again you can up arrow, bring that command back, get rid of the IKE policy and till the gateway name, and then we're gonna assign the address right here. Okay, so this is the address or host name of the pair. So the pair IP address we have is one gateway address is going to be 188.84.131.2. So that's the gateway address we have defined. And now we're gonna tell this gateway what interface that we're gonna use to negotiate or to send this, initiate this VPN building. So the interface that we're gonna use is our transit interface, this one GE001. This is where we're gonna build this VPN. So press up arrow and interface. Okay, sorry, external interface. External interface is going to be GE01. Right. Okay. And next we can also define which IKE version we're gonna use. So version and question mark. We can have IKE version 2, and when we're gonna use IKE version 2. All right. So let's now check how far the config that looks like. Show pipe compare. So here you can see this is the config we're gonna add. Or under security, now we have defined IKE, we define IKE proposal, we have defined IKE policy, we have defined IKE gateway. In gateway, we have given the name of the gateway, and the IKE policy this gateway is going to use is IKE policy, which we have defined here. And this IKE policy is using the proposal, which we have defined here. Just note the hierarchy of this. Okay, so this complete is our phase one. So far we have done the build the phase one of our VPN. Now we're going to build the phase two IPsec config. Right. So to start with, we're going to do is set security IPsec. So before we were using IKE, so this is IPsec. And then first of all, again, we're gonna create the proposal for IPsec, right? So proposal. Similarly, like we have created the proposal for IKE, IKE phase one, and then we created policy, then we created the gateway. So similarly, we're gonna first create the proposal. We need to give the name of the proposal. So we can use the same name, ASA, and then we can use IPsec and then proposal. Then again we can do question mark. Okay, so here we're gonna define what we're gonna use. Either we're gonna use perfect forward secrecy enabled and the Diffie-Hellman group, and then the authentication algorithm, and then the encryption algorithm that we're going to define in this proposal, and what protocol we're going to use. So this protocol we're going to use, let's start with protocol. We're going to use ESP. So AH is authentication header and ESP is the encapsulated security payload. So we're going to use ESP, and press enter, up arrow, get rid of protocol, and then we're going to define authentication algorithm. Authentication algorithm we're going to use, let's say what's available. We're going to use SHA-256, enter, up arrow, get rid of authentication, and now we're going to define encryption. What encryption algorithm we're going to use? We're going to use AES-256 CBC, press enter, and then what is going to be the lifetime? Lifetime in seconds. This is 3600. Right, so this is, we have created the proposal. Show pipe compare. Okay, so here is our proposal now. Now we're gonna create the policy for IPsec policy. Again, set security IPsec, then policy, and we're gonna give the name to this policy, ASA IPsec policy, and in policy question mark we're gonna use perfect forward secrecy, and for this we're gonna use the keys. We're gonna use Diffie-Hellman group 20. Okay, and then we're gonna define in this policy what we're gonna define. We're gonna define that what proposal that we're gonna use. Proposals question mark. That's the proposal that we have created just now, a moment ago. Press enter. Again, show quickly. Have a look. Show pipe compare. All right. So we have now our proposal, IPsec, and our policy. So third thing we're gonna create now is the VPN. So for that, it's set security IPsec VPN. Right. So again, we're gonna give name to this VPN. Gonna say ASA VPN, or you can say site-to-site VPN, or let's say VPN, ASA VPN that we are going to build. Press question mark. All right. So we're gonna give here ASA VPN, and we're gonna tell here what gateway that we are going to use. Okay, so look at this. Bind the interface, the very first bind to the tunnel interface. So this command is going to bind the tunnel interface that we are going to bind to this VPN, and then IKE. Under the IKE, we're going to define the IKE keyword for IPsec VPN, the IKE gateway that we have created up there. All right, so let's first do IKE, then question mark, and IKE gateway right here. Yeah. So what gateway we're gonna give? The gateway we're gonna give that we have created right here. So that's our gateway. And even if we don't remember, we can press question mark. That's the only gate. That's the gateway. That's the real beauty of SRX. So all the objects that you create, they are available in the list under the question mark. So you can actually easily select and see that what objects you have created under that same hierarchy of the config. So gateway I have already created. If we have created, let's say, multiple gateways, so all those gateways will be listed here. Gateway, we're going to use ASA, enter, and then we're going to do bind interface, bind interface. So we're going to tell this what interface. So normally the interface that we use on SRX, they are ST. This is the tunnel interface, and ST0. Then dot 0 is going to be the unit number of tunnel. I'll show you this tunnel once we build this VPN. All right, so we're gonna bind this to this our tunnel 0, and then we're going to define these identities, the proxy identities. So what are the proxy identities? Actually, we're going to define who is going to talk on this VPN. So the proxy identity is going to be um, so 192.168.100.0 network is going to talk to 192.168.1.0 network. So for SRX, the local proxy identity is going to be this IP address, and the remote identity is going to be the remote peer interest traffic over the network. Right. So let's go and then do this config. Right. So then press, you can see here, local, I'm sorry, proxy identity. Oh, that should be under. So right, so under IKE, we're gonna define these local and remote identities. Local, no, sorry, IKE, question mark. Right, proxy identities, proxy identities. And then we're gonna do local. Local is going to be 192.168.100.0/24. This is our going to be our local identity, proxy identity, and then remote identity is going to be 192.168.1.0/24. Right, and then we need to define what service they are going to talk. Service, we're going to choose any for a moment, any service they can talk. And then we're going to tell for this VPN IKE policy we have already defined. We're going to say IPsec policy. IPsec policy and question mark. So this is the IPsec policy that we have defined. We need to select that. All right, this is done. And then finally we need to define that set to up arrow IKE and then establish tunnel immediately. Right, so this is our gateway is complete. Now let's check our config. Show pipe compare. Okay, so let's review our config that we have created. Right, so this is our IKE proposal. Then we created policy. In the policy, we refer our same proposal. Then we created a gateway. In gateway, we referred our policy and defined the address of the pair, and then defined which interface going to be used, external interface, and then defined that we're going to use only version 2. Then we defined the phase 2. In phase 2, we created the proposal first of all. So proposal, we are using ESP protocol, and then authentication type, encryption, and then the lifetime of this tunnel. Then we created the policy. In policy, we used perfect forward secrecy and the keys. And in this policy, we refer our proposal, which is we have just created up here. Then we created our VPN. In VPN, we said we're going to bind this tunnel interface with this VPN. So any traffic that comes on this tunnel will be sent to that VPN. And then IKE gateway, we have defined the gateway right here. So this is our gateway that we have defined in IKE. And then we defined our proxy who is going to talk on this VPN. So local, this is going to talk to this on service any. And later we can also create our policy to actually restrict any traffic that we want this host to talk to the remote host. Finally, we have defined IPsec policy that we are going to use with this VPN, and then finally establish immediately. So this is our config for the IPsec VPN. It's complete on SRX. Now let's do the netting part of this configuration.